Alright, hello everyone, my name is Shep, welcome back to the Butcher's Circus, and today we're going to be watching 4 matches against Tiger Finger Man once again. So, as you can see, the first matchup is going to be World Domination versus World Domination, so this is quite an exciting first match. And of course, I get to go second because there is no justice in this world. So, as you all know, WT can also stand for whoever goes first doesn't lose. So it's also going to give you a pretty good idea of what's going on here. So, speaking about what's going on, my opponent got to go first and went for a stun onto my Bounty Hunter, which is a little bit greedy because it's not a guaranteed chance of working. It's also not a guaranteed chance of applying the stun or hitting, but they get it, and then they go for a crit finish him onto my VH, and I'm already in a terrible, absolutely terrible spot here. They go for a sniper shot after I heal, and at this point, unless I stun their Bounty Hunter, I'm already dead. So we might be looking at a very, very fast first match here. So the difference between our world dominations, between myself and Tiger Finger Man's, is that it's literally just one difference. I run the Abomination with the move trinket and the stun trinket, while they run with double stun trinkets. I used to run with double stun, but I felt like, even though it's quite good, I feel like having the +6 accuracy from the net as well as the move chance can overall be better for most matchups. Of course, in this matchup, it's probably better just to have the double stun, so you can actually get rid of those pesky bounty hunters. So of course, this is not a very good matchup for me, especially after getting brought down to this or immediately. But I'm still gonna keep going. You pretty much never surrender when you're playing WD. But yeah, my opponent here is playing very smart since I just used my Arbalest action to heal. They can essentially just go for a stun onto my Crusader, and my front line is essentially paralyzed at this point. Now they're gonna go for a sniper shot to get a very big crit. My hope was that I also got to finish him onto their stun bounty hunter, and with that finish him, they would have dropped down to 0, and by having them drop down to 0, the enemy Arbalest would have to heal, and by healing shouldn't be able to shoot me, and then the match could keep on going, and while my front line would have less HP, we'd still be in an okay stage. But that's not what happened, and now we're gonna go for match number 2. So very, very fast first match. So match number 2, I play Hit Squad, which I absolutely love. It's a very nice team, and while I do get to go first, I failed to pull onto the enemy Arbalest, which I was obviously not too happy about, but their pull works because there is no justice in this world. Neither of us have Snuff, both of us have Grappling Mid, so we both have very high move chances with the Bounty Hunter and essentially not that good move res with Arbalest. So it would be nice if I didn't get pulled, because since they didn't get pulled, but you know, what can you do? So here I go for a Holy Lance on the Bounty Hunter, even though it's the least hit chance, because I kind of just want to deal some damage to him, and that is going to land me Manacles, but it's not the end of the world because here I can just go for a claim. So once you do play Hit Squad, you can kind of play a little bit more of a long game against the Mark teams, because you have that reclaim, you have that regen with the Flagellant, which is something that a team like WD could only wish they have, like having freaking regen on the Mark team, as well as big heals for like 2 entire health bars. It's something really, really cool. So here my opponent goes for something really weird. It's going for a flare to get rid of their Mark. The reason they went for it is because if they shot me to their store on the Arbalest, well, first they could not get me down to their store, and then I could click, go first, regen, and then shoot their Arbalest down to 0 HP. That's kind of what they were concerned about. And yeah, I guess that's just what they went for, which is perfectly fine, honestly. So here I'm just gonna click. I'm gonna click because it gets rid of the Mark that was applied 2 rounds ago, so that's kind of why I did it. And they're just trying to really, really abuse my Arbalest here. Not trying to kill her, they're just trying to put her in position 1, and they think they're gonna get the win that way. And that's definitely one way to victory, because the Arbalest is the damage dealer of both teams. So getting her to position 1 is technically a winning play, but it's not completely winning if I can just play my other characters well, keep everyone alive with clever use of the Flagellant's turns. So here I'm gonna drop a Caltrus because it's gonna be slowly outputting DOT onto my opponent, and a lot of people would just look at that and be like, Shep, what are you doing? You're just letting go of your pressure, you could have gone for a pull, or whatever. I feel like Caltrus is good here. It's gonna slowly take away at my opponent's HP, and with like another Holy Lance and a couple bolas, I'm just gonna have a fun time. So here they finally miss one of their stuns, or you know, fail one of their stuns, because I have had stun resistance for quite a while on this Arbalest. Even with stun res, she only goes up to 60, which is still very stunnable, but you know, what can you do? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So now I'm gonna go for the pull on the Arbalest, and the reason behind this is because if they want to go Holy Lance and they're not getting a stun, which is really what I was a bit more concerned about, and if they want to go Bola, they might knock back my Arbalest, which I would quite love. So they're gonna go for a bull on my Bounty Hunter, getting me out of 4th position, so thank you very much for that, I guess. And here I can do whatever I want. I'm gonna end up going for a Holy Lance onto the Bounty Hunter. I figured that if I just hit this Holy Lance, even if I don't get a big roll, eventually the Bounty Hunter will drop in like 2 to 3 turns, and then they're gonna have to spend actions on healing him, and I would have gotten a lot of pressure from it. But the Holy Lance misses, which is really, really saddening, but what can you do about it, right? Sometimes it's gonna hit, sometimes it's gonna miss. So here I can drop another Reclaim, or I can click my Arbalest. I end up deciding on the Reclaim. I'm not sure how many turns left I had of Mark on my Arbalest, but if I let my opponent drop a Bola here, it would actually hurt quite a bit, because of the Stabilizing Tiller Trinket. It gives you plus damage and plus crit versus marked characters. So I should explain the trinkets. I haven't had much time to explain the trinkets, obviously, but the Arbalest just has double offensive setup, armor piercing, and bypass guard versus marked, so it's basically just to make sure that you have a lot of offense. And here they Holy Lance into a sniper shot. Since my Bounty Hunter was actually pulled to position 2, he was marked at the same time, but it's not the end of the world because I can just click here and I can go for a redeem. What I was expecting at this point was for my opponent to just drop another sniper shot and bring me right back down to 0. I felt like that was their best play, but as far as I remember, that's not what they're gonna go for. They're gonna go for another stun on my Arbalest, which is, it's just, she's getting abused so much, but she doesn't even care. It's quite interesting. Like, if I were them, I would have 100% gone for another sniper shot, just punishing me for keeping the Bounty Hunter in position 2 while marked. But they don't do it, and now I'm able to just pull that Arbalest to position 1 and get some pressure going. This is definitely quite good for me. The Arbalest is in position 1, the Bounty Hunter is in position 4. So while they're disrupting me quite heavily, I'm also disrupting them quite heavily. So here I click the Arbalest, even though I had regen, because I'm not going to get one shot, and if I get rid of the mark on her, I'm not going to take quite as much damage from a Bola. Of course, the opponent doesn't go Bola, they go for a move back twice, that also works. They could have gone for a Bola. I definitely would have gone for a Bola if there was 2 marks in the front line, because your crit chance and your damage with it is actually kind of nutty. So I feel like that's overall better. You just want to do a lot of damage when you're playing with a team like this. If you get a lot of damage through, if your opponent's down a lot of health bars, even if you don't get kills in the Mark versus Mark matchup, you're eventually just going to force your opponent to heal, and by forcing them to heal, you will eventually get a kill or 2. So here they're going to go for a Manacles on my Crusader. Very risky stuns all around, but they do work. I would never go for that stun if I had just one stun trinket on my Abomination, but since they do have 2, it's a 65% chance. Even the 65 is not great, but you know, what can you do about it? So here I can decide on the Bola, I can decide on the Bola, I can decide on the Flare. I end up deciding on the Flare because it's going to get rid of the Daze, and I really don't like Dazes, and at the same time my Bola could have knocked the Arbalest back. I really wanted to do damage, but just getting the Arbalest to position 3 there would have been disastrous. Getting her to position 3 and the Crusader to stun me immediately, you know, that would have been just terrible. So here I'm just gonna drop a Reclaim onto this Bounty Hunter, make sure that if it drops to this store, he can get himself back out of this store, which is obviously what we want here. But yeah, my opponent is still gonna go for the sniper shot. They hit for just enough, but you know, they had 11 to 20 damage, so I'm not gonna complain that they hit for 12. And now I go for a heal just to, you know, not die to a Caltrops, obviously. I don't want to risk the Caltrops death blow right now. I would maybe risk it further down the match, but at this point, not really. So they go for a Mark for Death, which I was quite surprised about. You don't really need it. I guess it helps with the minus death blow resistance as well, but it is a little bit weird going for that and not just moving forward here. I personally would have moved forward, but that is the play they went for. So I'm gonna end up dropping a ball here, just get myself out of dodge and maybe get some disruption, which I do get some disruption. And here, of course, I can just go for a ball, which is definitely going to do enough damage to my Bounty Hunter, but I will be able to just reach him out of that store, so that's quite good. So they're going to go for another stun on my Crusader, poor little Crusader, just every, like, not 1 out of 2 actions, it's probably like 2 out of 3 actions has been removed from him, which is really quite sad, but this is just This is just the WD experience, you know. When you play against WD, this is what you can expect. So you can see there, my bounty hunter was marked, and because of that, he took more damage from the bola. So then it's quite rough. So here I'm definitely going to click the bounty hunter, going to regen out of this store, and I can go for something else. So of course my opponent here has Holy Lance into caltrops if they want to get a kill on my bounty hunter, and because of the minus death resist debuff on me, their caltrops will actually be an 80% death blow chance. So I do have to keep that in mind. It's definitely good that they had that. So I go for a finish him. Of course I get a mineral on the arbalist, which is just, god damn it. I really wish I got a big damage roll there. It was just giving me so much pressure. But instead they decide to go for something else. They decide to go for the flagellant, not the bounty hunter, which I found very weird. But yeah, here I'm at this store. I'm in position 4, and I have minus healing skills at the moment, and what I can do at this point is I can just move forward to position 1, and it is very unlikely that the enemy bounty hunter actually gets a death blow on me. They have a 45% chance of getting a death blow. If they do damage, you can not do damage because of the protection on my side. So here I was thinking like, oh, you know, if I move forward, I get to go first next round, I'll have plus healing skills, and at that point I've definitely won the match. But if they get a caltrops death blow here, let's see, they're gonna go for it. And as you can see, they get the death on me. Even though they dealt 0 damage to the Arbalist and the Crusader, but they didn't do 0 damage to the Flagellant, they got a 45% death blow chance there. And at this point, I'm essentially screwed. And why am I screwed? Well, being down a character is bad. Being down a character against WD is horrible. You don't want to be down a character against WD. You really don't want to be. So I do have a lot of pressure going. I have basically halved more than all of my opponent's health bars because of the caltrops and because of the, you know, just the collateral damage I've been applying. And here what I have to do is essentially try to get a death blow. The reason I'm not surrendering is because after you lose a character, you still have, you shouldn't really surrender, you still have an opportunity to get a death blow. So that's essentially what I'm going to try to do here. So now the enemy Crusader can heal, but if he heals, I'm just going to hit him with a stun, so I'm going to be overall okay. Though I'm probably not going to have a chance to heal him with a stun, because if my opponent is any smart, and they are quite smart, they are just going to move forward to position 2, or yeah, they could move forward to position 3 at this point, because, or even go for a pull. Because their Crusader actually healed for 8 on the crit heal, so it is actually not guaranteed that my stun will deal enough damage, but they end up just deciding on a pull onto the bounty hunter, which is definitely a good play. That's a very good play, because you have to look at this in amounts of heals, and my opponent at the moment has 2 heals with the Crusader. And if I had gotten a stun on the Crusader, I would have dropped him down to 0, and then he wouldn't have his own heal. But you know, since I was in position 3, since I was forced to position 3, the Crusader was able to get his own heal off. But even then, it's not the end of the world. I can go for a shot here. After I go for a shot, they're going to heal again. Then I have to go for a finish him, and then I need to get the death blow by the start of next round. Of course, they have a stun on my bounty hunter. They have a potential for a stun on my bounty hunter. It's not a guaranteed chance, even with 2 stun trinkets. But that was really what I was hoping for here. Of course, you go for the stun after the bounty hunter takes his action, because you don't want to just have a 15% chance of losing on the spot. You want to have a 15% chance of losing, you know, later down the match, I suppose. So here they're gonna go for the manacles. I mean, it's just very obvious that you go for manacles here, because if you don't, I get to go first, and then you're just dead. So you really have to take the risk. It's an 85% chance. Sadly, it does go through. I was really hoping it wasn't, but you know, what can you do? I've already been screwed over 2 matches because of not having more stun resistance on my bounty hunter, so I will say having double stun trinkets is really quite good. So here I'm gonna go for a sniper shot. I do not get the death blow, and now I have a stunned character, and they still have 2 healers. So at this point, it is very difficult to match, to win this match essentially, because they're gonna get another stun on me, and my characters are dropping to 0 HP now, and the counter pressure is on. So at this point, I just end up surrendering, because they're gonna get counter pressure on me. They're gonna get a finish him onto my bounty hunter, and even if I kill their Crusader, they're gonna kill my bounty hunter, and then it's definitely over. So we're gonna go for match number 3. At this point, I'm 2 defeats down, which is really not too cool. I don't like losing twice in a row, but you know, what can you do? This time I get to go first again with the hit squad, and again I'm gonna go for a pull on the Arbalist. Even though it didn't work last time, just because it doesn't work doesn't mean it's not the correct move. So I'm gonna go for a pull on the Arbalist, they're gonna go for a pull on my Arbalist, and you might guess that I'm gonna resist this time around, but no, that's not what's gonna happen. I also get pulled, so this time there was justice. So I'm gonna drop a Holy Lance onto the Arbalist. I'm definitely trying to punish her here. and I get a nice Holy Lance hit. It hits for essentially a mid-roll, but you know, at least it hit. They're gonna stun my Arbals, but I'm not too concerned. I'm just gonna drop a Reclaim on her, and I'm gonna be overall okay. I don't really care. Essentially, I'm just gonna try to replay the last match, except I'm gonna get less unlucky this time around. That's what I'm trying to do here. So once again, they go for that premature flare, and it's very weird to go for a premature flare, honestly. It just looks weird flaring in position too, but the reason they do it is because after I get rid of my stun, I'm able to just click myself again and go for a sniper shot and just get the Arbals down to 0. Of course, this is why I don't go for premature flares, is because the Arbals doesn't need a mark on you to put you down to 0, especially after a Holy Lance. And yeah, now the Arbals is in a really rough spot. You might be wondering, well, Shep, isn't that super lucky? And yes, it is quite lucky. And at this point, I can just go for a Sound Crusader and just start getting some very, very heavy pressure here. And the good thing about the hit squad is, if you're winning in terms of pressure, you're really winning in terms of pressure, because you also have regen at the same time. So it is quite good here. So they're going to go for a pull on me. They are going for the same strategy of punishing my Arbals, and here I had two ideas. First idea was just punishing the A-bomb, dropping Caltrops. Second idea was pulling the Arbals, dropping Punish. And I just decided on the second idea, because if I put the Arbals in position 1 and I punish her down to 0 HP, there's essentially no way I can lose this match, because even though they essentially won't have a heal, and even though my Bounty Hunter's in position 4, I'll just be alright. So here, this is kind of why I don't like the stun A-bomb, because even with 2 stun trinkets, you failed the stun there, which was like what was the chance of it succeeding? Probably like an 80% chance of success. The slam would have been overall better there, in my opinion, I feel, because it would have also dropped the Arbals back one position. So I felt like they should have gone for it. So here I'm gonna think very well, because I don't have a confirmed death row anywhere. I could just move back with my Crusader at this point, but if I do that, then they just pull my Crusader, and I'm in the exact same spot, except I no longer have my flagellant action. So you have to be really quite smart at how you want to use your actions here. So I end up going for a 25% chance first, which does knock the Arbals back, which I really hated, but it's not the end of the world. I still have more death blow chances coming through. So if they go for a heal here, I just punish, so they're just delaying. It doesn't really accomplish anything for them. They do heal a little bit with their own Crusader, and maybe I don't do enough damage with a punish. There's definitely that possibility, because the Arbals has innate protection, but it doesn't come out, so thankfully for us, right? So the Arbals is back down to 0. She can't really heal at this moment. One thing she can do is just have the Abomination transform and go for a slam. They just decide on the Manacles. My opponent really likes Manacles, that doesn't ever transform. There's essentially 2 schools of thought that I see players bring with WD. Some people just bring double move chance and they're always transforming with the A-bomb, just going crazy on the slams and on the rages. I personally prefer just that balanced approach, having the stun for enemy Crusaders, a very accurate stun, and just having a good time. So here they actually decide on a Caltrops, and why is the reason for that? Well, they're hoping that my Caltrops doesn't actually get a Death Star, or doesn't actually deal damage to the Arbals, because that's a possibility. A Caltrops is significantly less scary than a Come Hither, and here's what happens. My Caltrops doesn't get the Death Blow, so I failed a 25 and a 65, but now since they moved back to position 4, I can go for a Come Hither, and it's an 80% chance that I do take the Death Blow. I don't take the pull. If I took the pull, it would have been GG on the spot, but since I didn't, they still have a lot of stuns. My Arbals is still out of position, they still have Caltrops going, so at this point I'm just in damage control, because if I can just control the damage for a little bit, I'll be alright. And not to mention that the reason they're still going is because their Crusader didn't get bled by the Caltrops, which is an 80% chance. So they got the wrong 80% resist, right? If they resisted the kill on the Arbals, they could have gone for a self-heal, and after the self-heal, I would have essentially lost a lot of my pressure. I'd still be winning, but I wouldn't be winning quite as much. So here I'm just clicking the Sun character, just keeping it simple, and just having my heals up, and essentially they can go for all the attacking actions they want, but I will only be a heal up on them, and even though they stun me, I'm gonna get more stun resistance, and now it's very unlikely that they actually kill my flagellant. Eventually, you do have to notice that even though you have plus stun resistance, I'm still probably gonna drop an early redeem, because if I get unlucky enough to get stunned, or to get double stunned, I will lose the match on the spot. So I obviously don't want that to happen. So here they're just dropping Beast Smile to try and do some damage onto me. And I don't really mind, I can just move forward with Holy Lance. Beast Pile doesn't really threaten too much here because it only has its power coming in like in 3 rounds from now, so it's really not fast enough to take out my characters, and I can just drop a Holy Lance on the Abomination. Now he's at 0 HP. And at this point it's over. My opponent definitely doesn't want to surrender. They wanted to get 3 wins in a row against me, but it's there's really nothing they can do. They go for a come hither to prevent me from going, just move back into finish him, but at this point something I really like to do is just, after I get pulled, I just move back twice, because the pull doesn't really matter too much and you have a character advantage, but for some reason I didn't do that here. For some bizarre reason I just decided to go for a boa, but it's not the end of the world. So they're just gonna heal their bounty hunter there, I mean their abomination, so they stay alive, and I don't really mind all that much. I'm just gonna drop a redeem here because I don't want to get stunned, right? No, I am gonna drop a punish. I am contradicting my own train of thoughts here. I did some different decisions throughout the match. I obviously didn't want to lose because already being down 2 games, you definitely don't want to lose a third. But yeah, it's interesting my opponent keeps on gaming. They're gonna go for a stun on my bounty hunter. If I were them, I would have definitely gone for a stun on the flagellant. Also, we have Bianca interference. I think it's the first time we have Bianca in quite a lot of videos. Yeah, they're gonna go for a stun. I just flare. I don't mind. I'm up a character, so you have to take that into consideration. If you're up a character, if they go for like essentially one movers, which is just, you know, going for a pull, you just move back and you're fine. If you go for a stun, you just flare and you're fine because you still have more actions. Then you just do the right back at your buckaroo and just bring their Crusader closer to 0 HP and also stun them at the same time, if your own Crusader's in position to, right? That's kind of the idea. So here I just drop an early redeem because I don't want to get stunned. I didn't feel like it would be too much fun, and their Abomination is dropping down to 0 next round. They're gonna go for Manacles on me. It's an 85% chance. They do get it, which is just prolonging this match just forever, but I don't really mind all that much. I'm gonna end up going for Holy Lance on Crusader. Shep, why not the A-Bomb? A-Bomb's dropping down to 0. You just want to do damage here. Once the opponents start dropping down to 0, it's more likely that they will surrender because they just see their health bars just get so low, and that's obviously quite good. You can see that I just have a huge advantage here in terms of damage. I have a huge advantage in terms of characters, advantage in terms of healers, and they go for finish him. They don't do quite enough damage, and since they don't do enough damage, they surrender. If they dealt enough damage there, I still had 2 healers, and then I could still heal myself with the flagellant, so it wouldn't be the end of the world. But yeah, we're gonna go for match number 4, and I just decided to play Hit Squad again. And for once, my opponent doesn't bring WD, they bring the Immortal Musketeer team. So, of course, Tigerfingerman loves his Immortal Musketeers, so there's that. So they're gonna start off with the Beast Spell, which is definitely the correct play, and it's gonna hurt me quite bad. So the thing is, this matchup is horrible. This matchup is absolutely atrocious for the Hit Squad, because getting a kill here is very, very, very difficult. Unlike WD, and unlike Jester WD, and unlike Halo Comp, in this matchup, you don't have stuns, you don't have guard breaks, and you don't have finale. What do you mean you don't have stuns? I cannot stun the Man-at-Arms. I have a 20% chance of getting a stun on the Man-at-Arms, so I'm essentially never going to get that stun. And if you never get a stun on the Man-at-Arms, all that you can do to try and win the match is to kill that Man-at-Arms. But killing the Man-at-Arms is easier said than done, and why is that? Because I'm getting Curse of the Spiked Bat here. Even though I have the Spiked Bat, you see me hovering over it, I still failed the 85% bleed chance, so it's already onto a terrible start. My opponent can just drop aimed shots here. Someone was asking why you would drop an aimed shot instead of why you'd have aim shot instead of smokescreen. Essentially, the reason for it is so you can go for death blows onto the characters in mark teams, because you're gonna bring them down to 0 with Beast Spile. They can't really sustain too well because Beast Spile is kind of unsustainable against for mark teams. And if they are at SO, you can essentially just punish them with the aimed shot, and the aimed shot is gonna deal damage. The aimed shot is just gonna be good. So here I go for a stun onto the Man-at-Arms. If I had gotten that 20% chance stun, essentially the match would be over because the Musketeer had already used her heal. So after that stun went through, if it did, I could have just gone for another sniper shot, and then a come hitter would have potentially been a death wound, would just be GG at that spot, but I failed the 20% stun, so, you know, the match keeps going, which I obviously don't like. The longer this match goes on, the worse it becomes for me. So I'm just gonna drop another punish here because I need to kill the Man-at-Arms. I fail another 85% bleed chance, so just horrible stuff going on today. And they're just gonna drop another Beast File, and they're gonna get a crit on it, so the match is looking just horrible for me at this point. And I can go for a mark here with the bounty hunter, but here's the problem if you go for a mark. The flagellant just clears it, right? The flagellant just clears the mark if you try marking the man-at-arms here. So instead, I pull the man-at-arms, so even if they do drop a suffer now, they will be marked on their flagellant, so I'll overall have a good time. So I can still shoot the man-at-arms, but here I just decide to do a shift of focus, and I just shoot the flagellant instead, so I get another crit with my Arbles, which is quite nice. And even though the flagellant is at 0 HP, you will notice that that flagellant has last breath color. So essentially, I still don't have anything on my opponent here, because they can just drop an Exsanguinate or even a Redeem, whatever they want. They could have also gone for a heal with the Musketeer, but at this point you definitely drop the Exsanguinate, because if you go for a heal here with the Musketeer, then you get stunned on the flagellant, then you're not going to get your flagellant heal, and then I might have a little bit too many attacking actions, and you might just lose the flag. Or you might have to change the guard, and if you change the guard, you open your Musketeer up to pressure, so at this point you definitely expend that heal. So here I'm gonna go for another stun, which also fails, because I noticed that I don't have a kill on the flagellant at this point yet. He just has way too much HP. Even if I get a crit 26 right now, he's still alive because of the Musketeer heal, so I have to go for a stun onto that man-at-arms, and the stun sadly fails. If I had gotten the stun there once again, I could have just shot the Musketeer, pulled the Musketeer, punished her. Things would have been great. But sadly, that is not the way of the Butcher's Circus, not today at least, so I'm just gonna keep dropping punishes onto this flagellant here. If he does drop down to 0 HP eventually, if he tries to be greedy, I could drop a Caltrops and potentially get a death throw that way, but yeah, that is wishful thinking at this point. So they're gonna go for another defender on the Musketeer, because they only have a guard that lasts 2 rounds, they don't have the Protector's Guide, so there's that going for me, but I cannot punish it too well because they can just keep guarding. It doesn't really matter, they resist every single stun I do, which is really quite sad, but you know, that's kind of the problem when you play hit squad, is that you don't really have stuns. It sucks. You don't have stuns if opponents just decide to bring double stun res, and you don't really have a way around it because it's just it's that team, right? It's the Immortal Musketeer. So they go for a named shot here, 25% chance of getting a death blow. They do not get it, and I'm just gonna drop a big sniper shot here onto the flash. So sadly, I didn't go first once again, which, you know, it's quite bad, but not, you know, playing hit squad into Immortal Musketeer and not even going first, it's just atrocious, and just crit heal for 28, god damn, things are looking terrible here. Of course I can just sniper shot again, but at this point I don't get enough damage, which is just, why do I not get enough damage? The reason I really wanted to get enough damage is because if they went for, also I resist another death blow, that's quite good. If I got enough damage there, they would have to guard with their man-at-arms, or else finish him is just a kill. And if they guarded, I would have Zealous and I would have Caltrops, but sadly that's not what happened here. So I'm gonna stun the flagellant, and I do actually get the stun, which is really freaking good, because now sniper shot might be a death blow here. If I could potentially make it work, but the problem is that my opponent is just able to heal by the start of next round, because once again they got to go first. So essentially I'm only gonna have one shot at getting a death blow, which is this Caltrops here, which is very unlikely to get a death blow. But unlikely works today, and we actually get a death blow there on the flagellant. So what were the chances of that? He had 40% protection, and I had minus 25% damage from being at this door. Actually, let's rewind this a second. I didn't have minus 25% damage. I have plus damage versus marked. I'm not sure how many buffs I had. I believe I only had one, but I had plus 33% damage versus marked, which means, since the flagelant's actually marked, I am more likely to deal damage, and I do 1 point of damage, which, even with all the death blow resistance they had, I get the 35% death blow. And now, at this point, I just think, okay, it's over. There's nothing they can do, because I still have a flagellant, right? Flagellant can almost 1v3 this. So I just get a little bit too overconfident, and I just start dropping reclaims, which I feel like is a bit weird. Maybe I should have just started going for punishes immediately, but at this point they are really screwed. They go for a guard on the Musketeer, which I just find quite weird, because its squad has this massive weakness, which is called having a flagellant Crusader frontline, because even though it's quite good, it doesn't have any freaking reach. Just zero, absolute zero amounts of reach. It can only hit positions 1 and 2. So your Musketeer is essentially safe. You shouldn't ever have to worry about your Musketeer, because if I shoot her, she just heals herself. So you're perfectly fine here. You should be more concerned about my Arbles shooting your Abomination at this point. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep dropping reclaims onto my Crusader and essentially just dying slowly. which is definitely a weird play by me. What I wanted to do was just heal my Crusader enough to the point where going for a stun wouldn't bring me down to 0 HP, and then I would be quite happy, but I'm not going to be able to accomplish it too well. The reason I didn't go for a stun there is because since they got the crit, they would definitely hit me down to 0 HP, and yeah, they're going to go for another Beast File here, and it's just biting me out horribly. It's just really biting me out. I can go for the stun at this point, but I'm not entirely sure if I will do that. I do get to... no, I still don't get to go first, which is quite sad, but, you know, such is the way of the Witcher Circus. I can start going for punishes, so I drop a punish here onto the Abomination, just to bring him closer to 0 HP, and now at this point, they can't really stay alive quite as well as they could before. Without a flash you don't have reclaims, you don't have suffers, you don't have those big heals. So even though you still have a musketeer for healing and a man-at-arms for defense, it becomes a lot more difficult. It's surprising that my opponent's actually still playing, I will say, but you know, that is what they're doing here. They're still playing, and I just have to keep playing with them, obviously. So they go for a guard onto that Abomination, so my chance of getting a stun on him is essentially gone. My Crusader here is just going to be a damage sponge from now on, because he can't do anything. He really can't do anything against this man-at-arms. It's just horrible. One thing that you can do, and this is what I was playing yesterday, which was the power couple, is that you just bring the Steam, and instead of a Crusader, you bring a Shield Breaker, and how would that do against WD? Well, it's difficult to say because you miss out on the healer, which is really important. You miss out on the stunner, which is really important, and while you do get dodge for it, it's really quite rough. But in this match it would have been a lot better because I could always break the guard, right? I could always break the guard, I would always have a lot of fun, and I could potentially just win. But if I don't have the freaking... if I don't have the chance of ever getting a stun, I'm never gonna have a good time, right? But yeah, my Flashlight here is actually dropping quite close to 0 HP. Here I was thinking, you know what I could do? I could just keep dropping reclaims and then heal my Flashlight. But at this point, you have to see, like, if I'm dropping reclaims and healing the Flashlight, and now that I've gotten an affliction, it isn't really worth it, because what am I doing? I'm dropping reclaims, I'm healing, so I'm spending 2 actions on healing, and my Crusader can't do anything to attack my opponent. So it's just really not worth it, so I'm just gonna start being aggressive here and potentially just sacrifice the Crusader, or just keep healing with him until I get to heart attack levels. That is essentially gonna be my game plan. So my Arbalist is gonna be on Sniper Shot to UD. She's just gonna keep shooting this Musketeer while she heals herself, and my idea is, you know, I can shoot harder than you heal, so I will be able to just keep putting you down to 0, just have fun that way. But of course she gets a heal for 20, so there goes my strategy, unless I get a crit myself, but it's not too likely. So there's that. I just heal my Flashlight here, make sure that I have damage. I'm just gonna keep dropping punishes. I failed the earlier spiked bat bleeds, remember those 2 that I failed against the man-at-arms, but this time I'm not failing them, thankfully. This is when you really don't want to fail them, obviously. So the man-at-arms is getting bled. I am gonna drop to below 40% HP here, which I was quite happy about because I was hoping for a crit. 22% crit chance, but sadly it doesn't work, but I do apply the bleeds. Thankfully the Musketeer cannot clear bleeds like the Arbalist can, so I am quite happy here, but you have to realize that I basically don't have reach to the Musketeer ever. All the reach I have is Sniper Shot, and Sniper Shot is definitely not going to be enough to get a kill here, so I have to get a kill on this man-at-arms sometime soon. I have to make this Musketeer heal the man-at-arms, and if she heals the man-at-arms, I still have enough punishes to keep bringing him down to 0, and if she's healing the man-at-arms, she's not healing herself, and if she's not healing herself, I can basically just shoot her. So if my game plan here to just shoot the Musketeer and make her keep healing herself would eventually work, if I got to do enough damage, but they actually go for a buckshot here, which drops my Arbalist back and makes sure that I cannot heal the Crusader, which, I mean, doesn't drop my Arbalist back, drops my Arbalist forward, which is quite annoying, because my Crusader is probably gonna die now, but I get to go for a Bolo, which does some okay damage rolls. I was hoping for maybe a double crit and just do a lot of damage that way, but sadly that didn't really happen to us. So that Abomination is gonna stay out of Death's Door here. He didn't bleed for quite enough, so he can keep going for those Beast Files, and he doesn't get a death wall on me immediately, so I'm just gonna drop a heal here with the Crusaders. Thankfully Fearful isn't passing, so I can just heal happily. And this time around, since the Bounty Hunter Corpse is long gone, they can start dropping Beast Files on 2 characters in a row, so this isn't actually looking like a confirmed win at all. Doesn't look too good right now, does it? Yeah. They're gonna drop another defender here because they need to keep dropping it. If they don't, I can just focus their Abomination down with punishes, and then it's gonna be a lot easier for me. I'm just gonna drop a punish on the man arms here. If they try to heal, they still have a lot of bleed on them, so overall it's quite good for me. And I'm thinking of dropping a Bola with the Arbals here because it will drop that Abomination down to 0, so that's what I want to do. At the same time, I also want to shoot the Musketeer, but let's see what I decide on. I decide on going for a shot on the Musketeer. Sadly, I get a mid-roll, so yeah, it's definitely not enough to bring her down to 0. My game plan isn't working too well. Maybe going for a Bola there would have been better because it would have dropped the Abomination back, and after dropping the Abomination back, things would have been a lot better for me, but yeah, I'm running out of time here. My Arbals is taking a lot of DOT, and my Crusader is almost at heart attack levels, so it's not looking good. Essentially, all that I had to do here was get another kill. I was a bit exhausted from all the previous matches, just so much decision making, so there is that to take into consideration. My opponent actually decides to drop a heal onto this man arms here, which was interesting. I was thinking about dropping an Exsanguinate here because it would have bled him for enough, but I just decide on the punish because I don't want to drop Exsanguinates before redeems. I really don't want to do that. I want to keep my Exsanguinates for the end of the match to make sure that I can win a 1v2 or a 1v3. So as long as I kill one more character, it doesn't matter who it is, as long as I kill one more character, the Musketeer will be in position 2, and at that point they really can't win against the Flagellant, because Flagellant is just that broken. So there's that on my side. Hitscott is quite a nice team for having that Flagellant. I do like it very much. It has its weaknesses for sure, especially against the Immortal Musketeer. Like, it's such a difficult matchup for it, even though, I mean, we went second and we failed all the stunts and we're still winning here, which is really something else. But we did get quite lucky with those counters. So at this point my Crusader is dead, unless I go for a heal on him, and my Arbals is going to go Abusive, which is a blessing in disguise, because Abusive is plus damage and that could come in clutch. Thankfully Abusive doesn't usually move forward, so I can just drop a sniper shot here on the Musketeer. Thankfully there's an act out from the Abusive as well, which makes it so my Crusader isn't gonna die to a heart attack. I mean, not immediately at least, so I can just shoot the Musketeer here. 25% chance of getting it. I do not get it, which is quite sad, but I'm gonna have another shot, because you can only keep one character alive here. Either you heal the man-at-arms or you heal the Musketeer, but my opponent just goes buckshot. Very weird play by my opponent, honestly, to go buckshot here, because now you're giving me 2 death blow chance, you're giving me another death throw on the Musketeer, and you're giving me a death throw on the man-at-arms if I don't go Holy Lance. I wanted to go Holy Lance there because it was a 40, and after I take it, doesn't matter if my Flagellant's in position 3, I just win. I don't care if my characters are dying, as long as the Flagellant stays alive and I kill one character, I win the match, and that's what I want. So you guard again with the man-at-arms, I can just go for a punish here, 25% death throw, and boom, GG, it's over. I can let my Arbals and my Flagellant die, I don't care, it's over. I really do not care at this point, and my opponent is gonna be like, why are you not healing at the end of the match? Why are you not healing? But they're not surrendering either, so I could also ask them that, why are you not surrendering? And I won't ask them that, but yeah, that's what I was thinking at this point, because Flagellant is just that broken. Their one potential chance they have of victory is me missing an Exsanguinate. That's literally their one chance of victory, but I cannot miss an Exsanguinate if I kill my own Arbalist. So it's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna click the Arbalist here, even though I drop down to 0 HP. I'm just gonna drop a Bola into a Pass, into a B-Smile. I really do not care at this point. So the Abomination is down to 0 HP. He only has 85 accuracy, but my Arbals has 0 dodge, so it's quite likely that they hit the B-Smile here. They're gonna go for it and they miss. And they actually miss, and at this point I kind of realized, oh wait a second, if I let my Arbals die I won't be able to redeem, and I just dropped the redeem because I realized, like, wait a second, I should probably keep her alive. And yeah, I do keep her alive, and now it's gonna be over for my opponent, and that is gonna be the GG. So I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. I did have a 5th match against my opponent here. Sadly, I forgot to record it, but it was essentially just a Winter Bliss DOT team, which goes Shieldbreaker, Flagellant, Jester, Antiquarian against the Immortal Musketeer, so that's definitely a winning matchup every single match, but I played, it was like an absolute shitfest because I was making bad decisions by that point, but I still won because my opponent failed like 2 90% hit chances. My Jester was in position 1 with Finale ready, and their Flagellant was kind of in danger. They went for a stun, which was a 90% chance of success, missed it, and then I didn't drop the Finale because I thought, like, their Flagellant was at 13 HP, I had 13 to 22 damage, I was like, no, but I might roll for 13, I shouldn't do it. And then I didn't go for the Finale, their they just healed with the Musketeer, and then my kill shot became even worse after their heals, because even though I dropped Punish and I think a Puncture, their heal just healed for too much, and then they just dropped an Exsanguinate with the Flash after they're bleeding, because of course I didn't want to go for a risky shot, and they missed like a 90% chance Exsanguinate onto my Jester again, and then they just surrendered. So yeah, big GG's to my opponent, and Tiger Finger Man, our saga continues. I will win this, not a best of 5, this was just a practice session, but it was quite a fun one, very important one as well, seeing the matchups between Hit Squad and WD, and of course, if you pick Hit Squad and go into Immortal Musketeer, you're just gonna have horrible times, so do be on the lookout for that. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you again another time. Cheers.